All right, here we go. I think we're good. I think we're live. Camera's rolling. Camera's running. Good morning. Good morning. It is Saturday morning after Good Friday. So we are that in between the death and the resurrection of Messiah Jesus. I have thought about doing a live stream all of this week. I've been on good morning. Good morning. I've been on spring break all week from school, and I have been meaning to try and sit down and do a live stream, but it's been a very full week. It's been a week with kind of a lot of planning and writing and thinking and goings on. And I just never sat down to be like, all right, I can do this for a little bit of time. So we're gonna shoot the stuff for a little bit this morning. I have an agenda. However, I'll throw a link into the chat if anybody wishes to join, and the topic and conversation can kind of go however y'all out there on the internet want it to go. I'm not very particular this morning. I do have some things I probably should go do later, like read and like do some writing and some other projects, but I wanted to at least try and do this for a little bit and see what happened. So let me do the link thing. Guest, copy link. All right, let me pull up the agenda again. So today, maybe I'll spitball with what I'm reading in scripture. I'm just kind of going through Luke, and maybe I'll at least just do kind of a liturgical reading of it and just leave it there. And then maybe talk about the updates to church desert life since my last live stream. Went to MegaCon Orlando recently. Might want to talk about kind of the convention scene and then what that entails. I am not down and out with the Lego hobby, actually, contrary to what that video I made suggested. Nope, there we go. We'll just do that. And then lastly, maybe talk about my thoughts on my rewatch of the Netflix Daredevil season 1. I'm not keeping up with Disney Plus's Born Again. That's not happening. So there we go. Anyway, here we go. Cut this out. Let's see. We'll do that scripture reading. We'll look at in Luke. I think I read Luke 9:8 yesterday, and I just skimmed it again this morning. Don't expect full-blown Bible study kind of content from me right now on this end. Not prepared for that, and it would be a foolish thing, as I maybe put in the chat, to actually spitball. So no more background music. There we go. All right. This is a really early morning live stream. You get that 100% vocal fry today from me. There is no attempts to rectify that at the moment. There we go. All right, we are in Luke. Where was I? I guess I was technically in the middle of Luke 8. I read the parable of the sower yesterday. And then I think I just kind of skimmed 16 onward. So I don't know, we'll pick up there. Let me pull up a translation on the internet. We'll use the lovely, I don't know, the Bible app. Am I allowed to plug my friends' content? Yeah, I'm going to do it. And if he gets mad at me later, he will. My friend has been working on an app and a website for Bible study and reference for a long time. And I think it's at a point where it's in pretty good shape. And I'm impressed with it. I haven't seen it in like a hot second or used it. But let's pull it up right now. It's called Scripture Spot. So let me share my screen. There we go. This is Scripture Spot. This is my friend's Bible study resource site. So we've got his verse of the day. He's got verse takeaways and then quotes sourced from various church fathers, reformers, other prolific pastors and writers. We can go to, I don't know, let me just show. Oh, he's got hymns and stuff uploaded yet? Is that Wow. Hold on. Hymn library. There we go. We got some in Spanish. Are they all in Spanish? No. Yes. Some of them are. A lot of this is public domain or things that are no longer held with a copyright that he's got, which is cool. Um, so you could go and I guess search by that. I'd have to look at it a little bit more closely. Go to commentaries. So here are the options we have. I think church fathers are just broadly church fathers because we have John Chrysostom and we should have, okay, there's Aquinas. Is Augustine on here? Well, we'll look. Currently a work in progress still. So here we go. So these are church fathers commentaries, but they are by verse and section and broken off. So here's St. Augustine, St. Basil, John Chrysostom, and then they're kind of spliced in one another or in and out of each other. This is really cool. I haven't seen the site in just a second, so really cool stuff. I actually wanted to pull up Luke 16. We'll just read that today, and we'll see what has to be done. Not has to be done. What is brought up here. Chill stream, don't quit. What up, Ethan? So Luke 8:16. All right. Here we go. This is the ASV. We could also read KJV, RSV, or the World English Bible. What do I want to do? Do you want to be real King James this morning? Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna get our Shakespearean kind of post-Shakespeare language going. All right, so can I get the whole text though? No. All right, I'm just gonna read it out of my ESV, and we'll pull up the commentary again in a moment. Here we go. Luke 8:16 to 18. Let's do that today. No one, after lighting a lamp, covers it with a jar or puts it under a bed, but puts it on a stand, so that those who enter may see the light. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. Take care then how you hear, for to the one who has, more will be given, and from the one who has not, even what he thinks that he has will be taken away. Reading the word. Thanks be to God. Let's see what our verse takeaways are, just to show you guys this really cool website. So what my friend does, and I appreciate this as a tool, he's got his own AI program that helps to source all of the different commentaries and exposition based on those he's selected for his website, and creates brief verse takeaways here. As you can see to the right, these are the sources that are used to craft these takeaways. So we have A.T. Robertson, Charles Ellicott, Charles Spurgeon, the Expositor's Bible Commentary, John Gill, and Matthew Henry. And so from all of their commentaries are these very brief, condensed adaptations of it in this kind of brief takeaway, just for 16. So unless somebody has a oh no, I'm not even sharing the screen. That's so sad. Womp womp. Add to stage. There we go. My bad. Come on, let me get the formatting. There we go. I'm gonna put myself on the tiny screen. Thanks, chat. I got one monitor. I'm not cool enough to have two. I don't have enough desk space. All right, here we go. Here is the oh man, I've been showing this off the whole time. Here's the scripture spot. Verse takeaway for Luke 8:16. So as I said, it is identified by the program, showing the 6 different sources that are used to craft the scripture spot takeaways. Here are our three here, unless, again, somebody has a particular um, commentator they wish to read from. We kind of have these options. We don't necessarily have a whole lot, partly because of public domain and because this is a one-man team sourcing all of this stuff. There we go. I'll read the takeaways. We'll start there. If anybody has thoughts on the takeaways or something else, we can go there. All right, so number one takeaway from Luke 8:16. Our faith is meant to be seen. Commentators unanimously agree that this verse is a clear command against concealing one's faith. Just as a lamp is lit to illuminate a room, the spiritual light you've received from Christ, the truth of the gospel in your new life, is meant to be displayed openly. Scholars like Spurgeon and Gill emphasize that this is a call to actively share your faith and live it out for others to see, to, in other words, perhaps be the hands and feet of Christ here on earth. That was my ad lib. That wasn't on the screen. All right. And then number two, shine for God's glory, not your own. One scholar points out a crucial detail. The purpose of a lamp is not for people to stare at the lamp itself, but to see other things by its light. Similarly, the light of your faith is meant to illuminate the goodness and truth of God, not to draw attention to yourself. Your life should be a beacon that points others to Him so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. In Matthew, this section is also present in the Sermon on the Mount. And so this kind of call for a humility in your deeds, in your conduct, right, that goes beyond yourself is very much clearly there. Jesus before that, if not after, I don't remember how the Sermon on the Mount is exactly ordered in my brain. Um, you know, before or after speaks of fasting, and how you're supposed to conduct yourself there. And then also speaks also about prayer being doing it in secret, right? That you might be rewarded in secret. And so much in the same way, these outward deeds and doings are not for our own gain, not for us to be puffed up, for we will receive, sure, if that's the case, right, we will receive our own the reward, on earth pretty immediately, and will not get anything, for lack of a better word to say it, in heaven. That reward will have already been given due to us. Last takeaway, the truth cannot stay hidden. This simple parable also illustrates a profound principle. Truth is destined for revelation. Commentators explain that while Jesus sometimes veiled truth in parables, his ultimate intention was for it to be proclaimed. This verse serves as an assurance that the gospel message will ultimately be made public and vindicated, and it challenges believers to be the agents of that unveiling. There we go. Those are our verse takeaways for Scripture Spot. If anybody wants to add something in the chat or bring something up, we can. Otherwise, I'll probably jump maybe to the next topic and kind of keep the ball rolling per se. Yeah, we'll probably do that. Let me see. Since I wasn't sharing my screen earlier, I will try and showcase some of those other features that did not get to come up because I was not sharing the screen. All right, here we go. So here's the home page. You can do your reference search here. Kind of like the Bible app, you have your verse. There's that takeaway again based on this one, and that's generated daily. There is usually some sort of quote relevant or connected to the verse as well from somebody. See Spurgeon today, for example. Let's see. We'll hit the explore button again. We'll basically just do that all over. We have devotionals. Ooh. We have Charles Spurgeon's morning and evening. Cool, cool, cool. So if you want to find that and access it somewhere, you can on my friend's program. I'll throw this down in the chat if anybody so wishes to give this a shot. So there you go, Scripture Spot. It's pretty cool. I'm very proud of my friend's work. He's worked really, really, really hard on this. This is his second job project. So there you go. That's in the chat. All right, removing my screen, moving to our next topic. What is on the agenda? Church slash desert life update. Yeah, so last time I live streamed, I was kind of living in between churches and looking for a space. I was kind of camped out at a mega church, Baptist church in the area that I'd known about for a while through college and through some other things. I knew some people there, some familiar faces. It was an all right space, and I just kind of have recently settled on like, yeah, I'm not a Baptist theologically anymore, um, and confessionally, and so I just didn't feel like I particularly would belong, especially in such a large space as that. And the other thing was, uh, their hyping up the Easter service made me like really kind of uncomfortable. Just like obviously evangelism and share and invite people to the church space, but to make just Easter alone this really big spectacle, um, especially given the kind of the Christmas Easter crowd that attends and stuff. I don't know, it always feels like the expectation then is that bring people in and we'll as the church save them and we want to have big numbers. And I just like you're gonna I don't know, there's something that doesn't sit right with me with that. And so they were plugging that and pushing that for like 3, 4, 5 weeks. You tried Anglican. I'm in my cage stage. I'm here for the desert update. I haven't tried an Anglican church. I don't know if there's one particularly close to me here in the South Central Florida area. It's already hard enough that I found where I'm going to now a Presbyterian church of all places. Those are a dime, not a dime a dozen, quite the opposite. A dime, like every one dime, versus kind of the non-denom kind of stuff. I've not tried that. I would be neat. I'd be interested to try that though. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't mind trying it. Do you have particular plugs for the Anglican Church, Ethan? Because I'm down to hear them. Uh, I like NT Wright. He's Anglican. I know some people who, that's kind of the what's the word? The liminal space between like Protestantism and Catholicism. Or sometimes you stay there. I don't know. I can mess with it for sure, but I'm also pretty open in a lot of those ways already when it comes to kind of trying that new stuff. Um, so the other thing that this kind of big church, we'll call it big church, Big Eva Church, I wasn't super on board was their they had this evangelism training thing on their Sunday morning Sunday school classes, uh, class wide as the lead in anticipation for Easter, and it wasn't great. It was kind of this just like, here's some like questions and get into a group and kind of discuss how you might talk to somebody about this. And I just was kind of living in TLC and hearing so many different voices and conversations with people from different backgrounds and faith beliefs and even just like within like the Christian tradition, a very like not super well explored, thought out evangelism project for curriculum is not, I don't want to call it not impressive, but it's very lackluster. And the conversation I was having with people around my age and younger, et cetera, was like, I was like, I don't like just talk to the person, you know, just talk to the person. That soul winning and stuff kind of comes up. You'd make a good Presby. You and Kratz can rep the Florida Presby corner. I could do that. My friend kind of swears up and down that I am just like high church Presbyterian already. The same guy who made Scripture Spot. He's always like, yes, this is you. You should go here. And so I found one. I found a church plant, Presbyterian church, in a middle school near me, and it is the scrappiest. Like there were maybe 7 people there when I was in attendance like 2 weeks ago, and then last week there was maybe 15. Like it's a really small group. Um, the pastor is super. I like his vibe. I've had conversation with him twice now, and I like his stories one, but he's lived life like for real. That he's seen some stuff and really gone through some things, and I appreciate that. And not to say that others haven't, but that knowing kind of that stuff's happened, stuff's hit the fan and experienced, I think helps in the pastoralship. Um, with individuals, and I don't know. I trust that a lot, or there's trust created through that. Um, Anyway, yeah, super scrappy, super tidy Presbyterian church life right now. It's kind of cool. I never had wine for the communion until last Sunday, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. It was super novel for me. I really, really appreciated that. So that's where I'm kind of at right now. I don't know how long I'll be going there because I've got to move again soon. A young, vibrant, growing church is a good place to find a wife. Well, yes, I wouldn't say that this is a young, vibrant, growing church. It could grow. I'm not really sure, but I'm not really going to look for my wife right now there. I don't think she's there unless she's here Sunday, Easter. We'll see. Cause we got to invite a bunch of people, kind of deal. That would be nice, but I don't know about there. But I'm gonna end up being in transition, moving again anyway, because of work life changes. So, constant constant transition right now. That desert life, it just starts like moving. It's a portable desert. We'll go from place to place. So I'm trying not to get super duper comfortable there, per se, just because I don't know where I'll be in the next couple months. But we'll see. I'm otherwise enjoying it though. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's my desert update. Um, what's next on the agenda on the docket? Oh, I went to MegaCon Orlando, and let me see if I can get some images pulled up from my trip. That was huge. I went to MegaCon Orlando probably 10 years ago in high school before it became such a big thing. This was when I'd just gotten into the comic book culture and all that. And there we go. Let me download that image. Okay. And I enjoyed it. I really liked the convention stuff. I kind of like going to look at comics and flipping through boxes and seeing the cool things people bring. And so celebrities and artists and all of that stuff is kind of less um, of a priority for me. So MegaCon Orlando specifically had some really big top billing people. You had like Elijah Wood, Sean Ass, like all the hobbits were there. Ron Perlman was there. Uh, Brendan Fraser was there. Just a lot. And there's like quite a huge kind of group of that. Comic book creator wise, Frank Miller was there. Some other artists that I follow and know. Um, but the problem was because they didn't cap off tickets and stuff, you had thousands upon thousands of people there, and it was almost far too difficult to navigate or to join little events or get in line anywhere. Yes, Elijah Wood, he's the one who went to the that's why he doesn't age. Yes. Yeah, he still looks like he did in 2001, 2002. So I did not meet Elijah Wood. I did not wait in line to see anybody. Instead, I dressed up. I did the cosplay thing. I've never done that before. And I probably won't do it again. I went as Matt Murdock, Daredevil. That was fun because that was easy. Problem with like cosplay too is if I'm around at a spot, I don't really want to be in some super elaborate costume. I got to be able to go to the bathroom. And I don't know how people who have super cool elaborate costumes do that. That's just a accessibility thing that I'm like, I don't know how you do this. So I did that. I had the whole getup. People may or may not have thought that I was actually blind. They didn't know that I was dressed up as a character. So I don't know if that's a thing to be proud of or to be ashamed of. But 10 out of 10 acting skills on my end, I guess. So that was cool. Here's like one photo from the show. Whoops. So this was me with a cosplayer who's going as Magic from the Marvel comics. I guess this is based. I guess she like became a super popular character in Marvel Rivals. Um, I was hoping to see more people and do more of the cosplay thing, like and talk with them and stuff. Um, lol, yeah, Neil. It determines the costume. It determines the costume. Don't want to be wearing like a Spider-Man costume is not going to work with that at all. Anyway, I was hoping to see more people and talk with more people in their cool costumes and stuff, but man, there was no space to stop and talk with people. And even when I was in the artist alley, it was very difficult to just kind of be there. People are just like constantly crowded around you and stuff. Like it was not ideal at all. I think the smaller shows are better. I also think that if I went again, I would just dress like me, and so I could just be me and talk to people, and it not be a thing. It was fun. It was fun to try and embody a character for a little while in that kind of way. But I don't think I would do that again. I think I would just wear a t-shirt and some comfy pants and walk around like I usually do. Also, I probably would go to a smaller show again. The smaller ones I think are better for what I like doing, which is just kind of like comic book hunting and collectible finding and all that. So MegaCon, it's really crowded, really crowded. I didn't even get anything. I didn't get much. I got some stickers. I guess I was talking with a colorist or an inker who works in the mainstream industry, and I liked her work, and so I bought some stickers. I don't know if this is her pencil work. I think it might is, but I know that this is definitely her inking and coloring. So anyway, that was my MegaCon Orlando trip. As always, if you want to jump into the chat and come chill on screen, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, we'll keep this show going. What else came up at MegaCon that day that was worth bringing up? I don't know, not a whole lot. Like I said, I tried to enjoy the booths and I wanted to look at cool stuff. And I don't know if it's just the size of this one and because of the cost of it, but all of it felt far more like professional, like business things, not just somebody with like a scrappy table with a bunch of cool stuff. And the very few of those that were there, um, per se, were already kind of businesses in the area, like collectible stores and stuff that I could normally see. So there wasn't a lot of cool gems and treasures because normally you can find some really, really cool stuff for a really decent price, but there was none of that there. There was a Spider-Man figure that I probably should have just jumped on right as I'd seen it at like the more beginning of the show because I've never seen it for any less than it was there. It's like normally like a $40 figure because of distribution, even though it's a new one, and it was like at like $25 retail, and I was like, should have picked that up, but oh well, such is life. Sometimes you can't pick up a new Spider-Man figure. What else was there? Yeah, that was it. There's some guys in like a Daft Punk like costume per se. They had their helmets, and that was neat. So I was joking with my friends. I was like, "Look, Daft Punk's back. They're back." You know, that was neat. That was about it. Yeah, that's about it. Um, I didn't do any footage. I was gonna try and film and do stuff here for the channel, and it was not appropriate to be doing that anywhere. Good morning, Mark. What up? Let's see. So that's my MegaCon story. I don't have much else to say about that. Next thing on the docket is me not quitting the Lego hobby. I made a video, I think in January, maybe February, talking about my falling out of the Lego hobby at the time and criticizing specifically some of the business decisions that have come up with and seemingly taken a very particular kind of or encapsulated in the Lego Pokemon initiative or picking up that license and branding. And rambled for probably about 25, 30 minutes about why or how could business practices influence consumer habits and how that also then influences the discourse communities and hobbyists who are in that, and that kind of influence is inevitable, and that influence, whether based on the decisions, will either make or break somebody's engagement or participation with the product. And so I was saying that because of the Lego Group's recent initiatives, um, I was kind of repelled from them per se and was looking to take a step back. That video blew up, and I can't say that I necessarily wanted it to. Um, I'm not proud of what I said there, and I don't disagree with what I said, but the reception to it was not something comment wise that um it was a mixed bag. You either had people 100% affirming what I said, being like Lego sucks, blah 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 blah. Prices are expensive. I quit too. Or conversely, it was two extremes. It was the decisions of the business should not influence how you interact with the product. So basically, just ignore what you don't like and continue with the hobby. Get help. That was some of the comments. I might try and pull one up. They were interesting. And I don't. I was hoping for more nuance, and I guess that's not what happens when you post things to YouTube. Um, so yeah, there was a little while where I haven't done anything in the Lego hobby. However, recently, a friend of mine in the world of Lego, who lives in the area, messaged me. He does a lot of buying and selling, um, constantly. So he's always looking at large lots and picking up people's, uh, old collections, reselling, flipping them and stuff. It's pretty cool. He's seen a lot of neat stuff that way. He's on a group uh, page, right, where you post listings and stuff. And I've been in search of a Lego store display minifigure for years. Let me see if I can find an image of what these guys look like. Ooh, here for a comment section reading. Okay. I'll pull that up in just a minute. Let me find my store display figure, like image, before I show you my guy, who's already just like right there. He's already there. Spoilers, I got the guy. But I want to see if I could find an old image of like the store somewhere within like the 90s, early 2000s that might be showcasing it. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But there's these really large plastic minifigures that are not made of regular Lego brick plastic, like the ABS and stuff. This is a far cheaper kind of plastic for these display pieces. Um, and they've been around for forever, and they're super duper duper expensive on the aftermarket because obviously you're really not allowed to be having some sort of store promotional item or store retail display item in your personal collection. These things are meant to be, you know, removed and or destroyed after their time of use at a particular location. Uh, and yeah, so these things go for thousands of dollars sometimes. Like cheapest usually is about $500-600. Um, Most expensive, in the thousands. And so I've been looking at one of these for forever. They come in a couple different like colors per se. There's some guys in like little red shirts. There's some guys in like blue shirts. They all have the little like white hard hat. Um, why does nobody take pictures of the cool big minifigures? Why am I the only one who wants to do that at a store? Gosh, if I had photos from my Legoland trips, I would pull them up, but I don't have them. This stinks. All right, I've almost got one. I got a reference. Um, this is a crappy image, but here we go. Add to stage. Anyway, so I just want to kind of show where they might be featured real quick before I just like show my guy. Horrible image I just found online, but usually they'll be the top of a shelf in the Lego stores at like the little build a minifigure sections. They might be resting atop in some way. So yeah, these things are meant to be there merely for eye candy to help showcase the actual product being sold in retail spaces. They've been around for a long time. Their origin is unknown. I've been kind of looking into that for my own research for an article potentially, and I have no information. I have no data as to when they started popping up um, or any of that history. So I'm going to have to figure out if I want to do an article on that, kind of surf it around. Anyway, long story short, not really. A friend of mine has been looking out for me for one of these store display figures for years. And recently one came up on his listing from out of the state, not out of the states, just different state for like $300, and that's the cheapest it's ever been. And so I kind of jumped on it. So I got to see him just the other day, and ta-da! I have a cool store display minifigure now from the 90s, early 2000s. He's very well used because he's got some yellowing. You can't really see him in the lighting in my room, and he's got some like scuff marks, and his hands are a little messed up. He's so cool. Yeah, this guy's super neat. I don't think there's any actual like information about where he's from. I'd have to ask my friend again where he got it and if there is even a Lego store there, because those are not a dime a dozen kind of locations. But yeah, he's super cool. He can turn his head. You can do all the minifigure posing. Got all the points of articulation that one does. Um, ta-da! There we go. So I got this guy, and then I ended up trading with him instead of having to pay for it. I just like sold off a bunch of my like bulk and other parts of my collection to acquire this guy, which is very nice. Instead of having to pay the cash per se. And so that helped me as well, clearing some stuff out of my um, apartment space in the lead into some transitions that are happening soon. And then I also picked up a Lego Batman Batmobile set and built that. And I hadn't built a Lego set in quite a while, and really enjoyed it. Talked to my editor in chief with the Lego blog I've been working for on and off, and I've got some stuff down the pipeline. I think I'd like to work on. Does he clip onto Lego structures? No, he's got the clips, I think, so that you can bolt him into a shelf or other part of a store. So these brackets, I essentially could probably, if I wanted to, screw them into my own bookshelves and stuff, just to keep them in place, so that they can't be removed or easily knocked over at a store. That's my guess as to what these brackets are for. This is nowhere in the scale with a regular Lego figure by any means whatsoever. Obviously. Nor is there any room to kind of accommodate for that. So obviously a regular minifigure, not obviously, but normally Lego minifigure would have the tubes per se in the bottom of the feet, right? The big circular parts so that they can fit onto the studs on like a brick or something. This guy has none of that. They're decoratively featured here, but they are way out of scale. And I guess I could figure out how compatible it is, but as it stands, they're not meant to actually be blended with an actual Lego brick pieces or anything. So holding this is silly. This is like a child. Like, this is my son. So yeah, I could clip him onto my shelf and bolt him there if I wanted to, but not to an actual Lego structure per se. I don't have a need for that. You can just chill on my shelf. Got him on like one of my other mantelpieces over in my room right now. But I want a really good display. I've got so much I'd like to showcase of my collection that I've never been able to. And I get some like big shelves to put all my figures on and stuff, and that just hasn't happened yet. I'm not in a permanent space to be able to do that, and the day that happens would be really cool. So I'm not out of the Lego hobby. Let me go read those comments. Let me pull that up. That might be fun. I think Ethan's onto something. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the reception of it. It got into the Lego community, and my editor and chief found it, and we ended up talking about that. And not in a bad way per se, but yeah, that reception was not what I was hoping for. Here, we'll start with the ones that I didn't respond to, I guess. So Ethan, I hope you're still here for the comment section reading time. Let me see. Share screen. All right, here we go. Here's some of the unresponded comments. Wait, let me add a stage. Let me not make that mistake again. There we go. All right, here we go. These are the comments I've yet to respond to because they were so recent, and I just am not going to entertain these comments. Just focus on what you enjoy. This isn't some social stance. Lego is fun. Buy what you like and stop worrying what others are doing. This is the like common kind of theme of some of the like one side of the comments. We'll see the other side later, but that's the I'm doing this wrong by being critical of it. I should have expected nothing less. Also, Lego looks gay on the shelf. I am more into vintage action figures. No comment, as somebody who likes both, I guess. But Lego looks gay on the shelf, apparently. So, yep. And then we've got this guy also was like a quote, because he was quoting me in the video. I was talking about like the influencer kind of presentation of content. Maybe I'll show an image of that. But he was like, quote, middle class, rich, fancy home, huh? And I was like, it's all about the presentation, that the Lego group will have a very well laid out looking living room or other space, and to showcase, right, that your home will look nicer with this $600 display piece. And usually it is kind of a middle class, more fancy upper middle kind of home or space. Let me show some examples. Here we go. Catching up. Welcome, McMoshish, doing the chill stream. We're gonna read a bunch of comments off that Lego video I made like 2 months ago, and how I'm not done with the hobby. You missed my big minifigure. You'll have to see it as you're catching up. But Here's my before we come back to the comments. This is what I'm talking about. These are the lifestyle image kind of marketing photos that are used to display or to showcase a lot of the adults only or adult icon sets found throughout the Lego Group product line. Or we have this one. Look how nice your Bilbo, the Hobbit, Shire set will look in your very nice home that doesn't normally also have any other Lego things or anything. Look, it's a wonderful display piece. You will be the talk of your next wine gathering. Something, something, something. I don't know. I'm rambling. But anyway, that was just kind of clearing up and explaining that comment. So Lego is gay to put on the shelf. That's what we've learned. And vintage action figures are better. So we'll just start going through these. Some of this is just glazing, and I'm not going to read the glazing comments. I'm not doing that. People will talk about their own experiences. And I really appreciated some of the testimonials, I suppose, per se, that people were provided in with their own kind of discussion and experience with the Lego Group recently. And so I really liked those. I kind of want to pull up the critical ones just to hit on those per se. Okay, so for example, here's kind of on the other end of I agree with you, here's my story. I have so many sets sitting unopened. I just don't care enough anymore, I guess. I bought the Enterprise D, which is that new Star Trek set, which is great, but there's not a lot of originality in Lego aside from some of their Technic sets, and even those are becoming a bit stale. So a lot of that kind of discussion. Here's a decent response. I liked this one. I'm in the middle. Nature of the beast with capitalism / supply and demand. Nothing we can do. It's really unfair for those without bottomless wallets. That's for damn sure. Just like Bitcoin, which can serve as both an investment and a currency, Lego is now functioning as both a toy and a speculative investment / commodity, and neither were ever intended to serve as speculative investments. Worst and sad part is that Lego could totally scale back prices quite a bit and still remain sustainable and profitable. Classic corporate greed mentality combined with market manipulators, or the scalpers, as we might describe them. He said, I'm still buying a set if I like it a lot, though, which, honestly, at this point, same. That Batmobile I got was pretty cool. So, those are that was a thoughtful comment. I really appreciated that one. Here's one. I feel like you lost a lot of what is important. Have a bunch of Lego pieces and build things with it. I don't understand people displaying things they have not designed themselves. It's not about talking about it with other people. It's build cool things and show others. It's weird that you think that this is what the Lego hobby means. Personally, I buy Lego in unsorted bulk for cheap. I understand partly where this guy is coming from, but the trouble with that is that the hobby is going to be have different modes of interaction and engagement. And so talking about it, I think, is just as important as building and engaging independently. You're going to inevitably talk with other people about the hobby at these shows and gatherings and stuff. Bye, Ethan. Thanks for dropping by. So that's another comment that I'm like, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of the comments of which I've lost the plot. Let's see. Find another one here. We'll read this one. Sounds like your biggest issue is running out of space and interest. Sure. Yeah. Lego has more sets now than ever before. There's something for everybody. If you want to be a hoarder or investor, go ahead. If you want to be a collector builder, go ahead. If you want to be a creator, go ahead. Nothing is stopping anyone. My local Target has 6 aisles of Lego. My Walmart has 2. I'm also lucky to live a few minutes from a Lego store. So if it isn't at Target, Walmart, or the Lego store, I just order it online and wait. There's been a non-retired set that I couldn't get with the exception of Gringotts Wizarding Bank, and I still have time to find it. Also, as much as everyone hates scalpers and flippers, without places like eBay and Mercari with resellers, we'd never get retired stuff. It would just ride off into the sunset, never to be seen again, and we're not forced to buy overpriced stuff. It's just an option if we want it badly enough. And about Pokemon being for kids, the great thing about kids is that they grow up to become adults with jobs and money. This was Lego's first ever Pokemon license release, and you can spend between $80 and $650. Once again, something for everyone, but not really. You might not like the initial offerings, but there will be more. You have to be crazy to think that LEGO paid for the license to only offer 3 sets. There will no doubt be dozens and dozens of sets over the next couple of years. Every hobby to ever exist has an entry category as well as an elite category. You can spend $1 or $1,000. Just pick your lane and stay in it until you're done. Your troubles seem to be mostly that you're losing interest in the hobby, which is normal. Nothing lasts forever. But it seems like you're blaming investors and consumerism as an excuse to walk away. Kind of. Kind of. You can only have so many poor experiences, I think, in a hobby or a community or space, or neutral, negative, or positive, before that kind of begins to dictate your engagement and investment with it. And unfortunately, my interaction with the broader community is limited, and my interactions in poor spaces and stuff in ways, or like not great ones, has been far more than that. So thought about doing a proper response video to some of the comments here and all that. I just don't think it's necessarily worth it, especially because the amount of views to this video versus the amount of people who stuck around to watch something like a chill live stream is staggering, the difference. And so I don't think there's a lot of repeat viewers to this. I did a couple responses. Probably within the first week, I tried to take some time and reach out and talk to people and respond to their questions and such. Oh yeah, nice video. Too bad that your channel is not for Lego. I would have followed you. Fair enough. I would have followed me too if it was about Lego. Let's see. This was interesting. This one was really interesting. Here we go. And then I'll finish up this comment section nonsense, and we'll move on to something else. And then I'll post the chat or the link to the chat if anybody wants to hop in. This guy says, "I'm a real adult hobbyist of Lego. Acronymize that. The last time I checked, adult hobbyist of Lego is a-hole. Type it out for y'all. So make what you will of that one. I find your video and thoughts very interesting for me, and it's also written in this kind of like poetry structure. For me, I couldn't care less about collecting. I couldn't care less about third-party IP. I'm not a fan of any franchise or series. I've been influenced by 2 sets. Ideas, Medieval Blacksmith, and Friends, Botanical Garden. Those are good sets. I'm an Only Castle fans. Only Castle fans. Subscribe to my Only Castle fans, guys. Just kidding. And I'm so anti-gray that it hurts. I only mock. I'm only interested in the pieces, not the sets. I think a lot of people are doing Lego wrong. I think Lego creates a lot of junk sets. I look at the piles and piles of motley plastic on people's shelves and get grossed out. So who's grossed out by my shelf? I don't really know what to tell people, but I think counseling is always a good idea. Counseling helped me out, focused me, made me more decisive, revealed what really mattered. I was dealing with a lot of grief in my life. Loss. Get a good counselor. So that was a really interesting response. Also, I don't know how you're doing castle builds without gray. Like if you're anti-gray, are we just doing like the old yellow castle and that's it? Like I don't know, what are we doing? Just that's an interesting thought. That was a comment that I thought was interesting. And our views are dropping here. Perhaps it might be best to post that link in the chat and figure out how to redirect the conversation. Otherwise, perhaps maybe I will just call it a day and go do something else. It is 10 o'clock here now, top of the hour. I've been streaming for 50 minutes. If you want to be spared of the reading the comments section of a video I made 2 months ago, act now and change the conversation. You, dear friends and viewers, you guys have the choice, the option to do that. Here we go. What's another one? A lot of people discussing their experiences again. Here's a cool one. I do think everything gets more expensive over time. That is life. So why begrudge Lego? Exactly. Look at the price of action figures these days. Just because it happens doesn't mean it's okay. Just because things are getting more expensive doesn't mean that we can excuse that or justify that. Um, anyway, yeah, I don't. Then there's like a whole war in the comments somewhere here. Um, man, I don't remember where that was, but that was wild to just kind of watch play out. I didn't do anything. I just kind of looked on the outside in. I think this was it. Somebody got called a bootlicker, some other things. It's kind of wild. All right, that's enough. No more reading the comment section. We're done. We did it. So am I back in the Lego hobby? Yes. Am I figuring out how to re-engage with it right now? Yes. Have I got articles and things I'd like to do for Brick Nerd? Absolutely. I would like to. There's some stuff I'd like to try and do. So yeah, Lego. I'm kind of back. Is there anything else I wanted to do? Oh yes. Everybody left before I could talk about Netflix's Daredevil. That was the last thing on my agenda for the day. So what I've been doing is kind of another project, and I don't know if the Night of the Seven Kingdoms video is ever going to happen. I might just make like a 5-second video that describes Dunk is cool, can relate, much wow. Uh, I like that show and what that show's doing, but I'm really struggling to articulate my thoughts in any kind of manner there. But what I am trying to work on is what I've wanted to do for like actually ages. And if it takes years, it'll take years to do this. If it takes getting a thesis or a graduate degree, a doctorate, or whatever master's degree to do it, I'll do it. Is work on an analysis of Netflix's Daredevil. It's really good. I'm about halfway through almost. I've finished up episode 5, going into episode 6, Condemned, just the other day. And man, the parallels between characters, the thematic analysis that is present in it, I'm super duper like impressed with. I was already really, really impressed and really enjoy that show. But being able to actually take notes and really focus on a couple thematic ideas and some of the visuals that help serve and elevate those themes as the focus of this watch, really, really good stuff. Really cool. Um, Talking about with that show, or what I like to talk about, is about like the love of the city that characters have, their affinity with Hell's Kitchen, artistic vision, um, or just like artistry as a whole. That show is in a lot of respects all about those things, and then has some more overt kind of mini plots that help support that are just about like purchasing art, having these discussions. Um, and I think that once the show loses that kind of thematic element and sometimes more explicit subplot, I think some of what made that first season really, really great is completely lost. And even something like a season 3 of that Netflix show, which people really herald as the best season, and I would disagree with that entirely. I think the first season is still the best one, and it is, I think, because of the artistry behind it, aesthetically and thematically. Um, so go watch Netflix's Daredevil. Don't watch Born Again. Don't do that. Don't think that's good. I tried to sit down and watch the new season, and I was not feeling it at all, at all. So yeah, go watch Daredevil. It's really good stuff. I'm trying to write it on it or something. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap up this stream. Things to read, things to do, other things to handle, Gundam to build, Lego things to work on, writing projects to write. So, any final thoughts, comments, concerns, criticisms? Please lobby them now. Otherwise, we will call it a day here. All right. So, thanks everybody for checking out the live stream today. Hope y'all enjoyed. Stay tuned eventually for stuff. Kind of hopping around and stuff. I have a Substack. Don't have the link for it, but I have Substack. Let me post it. I sometimes do those little tweet things, and might repost some of my Lego articles there. I wrote or published one of my old pieces of fiction that I tried to get submitted to a college mag. back in my community college days there. So if you want to read that, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, here we go. Copy the link. I'm going to post that one in the chat. So if anybody wants to read that, and we're down to 0 views. I think I'm going to end it here. Check out the Substack. Y'all have a good weekend. God bless. Take care. See ya.